we've looked at two type of laws that they said they make. We've looked at regulation, we've looked at guidelines, look at their characteristics, what purpose they tend to serve, and the way they play or operate. Then the next one is an ordinance. It's a decision that applies to an individual case. The ordinance is binding for the specific case. Recommendations or opinions are not binding, just like the convention. So we saw these 5 type of laws on the intro. Regulations, guidelines are binding generally across board, not of specific case or merit, but the two have got a certain sharp difference. One is mandatory to be incorporated in their national laws. The other, though it's binding, it can be left off the hook. But when it comes to ordinances are laws, specific case laws. There was an issue, a specific merit one, we decide it and adjudicate, and the decision is put as a case study law. Okay, so it is not anything across generally established that this is an act, this is it, and that's an ordinance. A specific case law is an ordinance in the European Union. Unlike in Ghana, our ordinances were the laws formulated and passed by our colonial parliaments. So the EU have a different meaning for an ordinance. Then when it comes to recommendations and opinions, they are also not binding, just like the Mahan Convention. They only reflect points of views. So that is the way the UU law operates alongside the terms and conditions in the Mahan Convention. Yeah. So now what is the relationship between the managers of the Mahan Convention and the UU Parliament? How do they marry the two separate legal environments? Before the establishment of the European Union, CCNR could take decisions independently. Have been in existence 1868. Then the European Union came recently. So they were all on their own masters. But you know, the European Union is the mother now, is housing everything Europe. So there should be a relationship that is workable, not to, yes.
For the ship transport industry, since now the Brexit,
Since now what?
The Brexit,
yes.
The regulation of an option for transportation for between Britain and the other part, the whole European Union,
These ones are the same. Transportation worldwide that is not affected when you have these regional or local or whatever regions. No, transportation is on its own. You get it? I tell what you are saying. Like you are just asking me. Then, if because of the British exit, what will happen to the international conventions concerning maritime transport? No, you remain independent of
the European.
Of course. Yes. You see, what is transportation are you talking about?
No.
You see, the European Union of more of the political nature. See, you get it. You know this, we are talking about livelihood economics. Yeah, I get your point, all right, but there's nowhere they have anything in common to have effect on these regulations. But okay, what we are trying to say is, if they should leave the European Union, would these rules apply? Maybe have you forgotten that the River Rhine does not run through Britain, but were they not signatories to the convention? So maybe it takes a different. They have a different look at it. Okay, good. So what is the relationship between the two? Before the establishment of the union, they were working independently. Since the establishment of the EU, however, coordination is essential. This is because the signatories to the convention are almost all member states of the EU. Abroad, they are within their EU jurisdiction. Switzerland is the only signatory to the convention that is not a member of the EU then, but now Switzerland is a member of the EU. Okay, so and a representative from the European Commission is therefore always present at CCNR discussions. They have an appointed rep always attending their meetings and decision making. Okay, they report back. Similarly, any EU regulations or guidelines relating to the ride shipping must be discussed by the CC, so they collaborate. Nobody is acting independent of each other or in a vacuum. They are always collaborating and discussing. After all, they are looking for the common good of the same country. They have the same purpose, aims, and ambitions for their member states. That is all about it. So why should they conflict or struggle a member country because of conflict between the two, legislators? They are all lawmakers and enforcement agencies. Before a guideline or regulation of the council or the commission relating to the Rhine River can come into effect, the CCNR has to reach agreement on it. An important difference between the decision-making process in the CCNR decisions that are unanimous, EU decisions are taken on the basis of a qualified majority. That's the only sharp difference. The convention, unanimous. But when you come to the EU, their decisions are like Ghana Parliament, majority. Do you get it? Yeah, because they sit independently, okay? Yes. So these are their laws, that's the way they crafted it, okay? Yes. So national public laws regulations should preferably fit into framework of the CCNR. This means that the barge owners in dry and inland must adhere to practically identical crew requirements and resting. All these things, they are talking about the crew management. They are giving an example of this law about the crew management. So we compare the two laws. Please, when you are studying, get these small differences. You get it. There's a way to study each topic for your exams. The way or some of questions you can expect from these sort of topics. Yes. All right. So example is this: if you are a barge owner, you should adhere to all the identical crew requirements, resting, sailing hours, irrespective of whether they are transporting within a country or internationally. The most important issue governed by national public law, the sailing hours and resting times, crew numbers, the access of barges to transport on the national inland waterway, access to the profession in the execution of the European guidelines. So they are just guiding you is that with the European laws, whatever it is, whether you are sailing only on their corridor or your sails can take you continue from the riverine corridor and veer into any other international waters. For instance, if you sail through and maybe the contract is said that you reach where it enters the sea, then you continue on that corridor of the ocean, okay? And life goes on until wherever. But they said no matter your jurisdiction, either within the national cabbage or the union pledge, and you are going into international waters, please obey the same rules as if you are in the European Union. After all, internationally, the ILO, the International Labour Law, they govern these crew laws, the hours of work, when the crew should rest, they should not work, or maybe for how long they should work and go on holidays or leave and come back. But you know, crews from this part of the world, they call it the long haul. They will sell their leave and remain sailing for about 2 years or 3 years before they will come, they will drop off. You know, so this crew business is very important to the union and the CCNR, because it's the human beings that are the best access to any economic activity. Yes.